Astra Travelers, and welcome to another episode of Tales of Teyvat, a Genshin Lore Podcast. Last week, we ventured through the chasm to Sumeru and discussed Collei's transformative appearances from the manga to the game. Collei will certainly be important as we learn more about Sumeru during future updates and more Archon quests. But this week, we're going to be discussing the person who starts off the whole game with a lot of questions, the one and only Unknown God. Additionally, I want to remind travelers to visit talesofthebot.com to see some visual representations of the lore mentioned during today's podcast. Your guides have put them together for you to make things a little easier to understand. But let's jump into this because this is quite a large topic. So the Unknown God.
A lot is unknown about the Unknown God.
Who is she?
I think the one thing, though, to just start off while everybody is kind of settling into the Unknown God is to just point out the fact that there is little to be known. So there are a lot of this could be rundown theories and ideas. So don't hold us to it.
Yeah, so I think what we're going to do today is really lay out the very few facts that we have. And then we're just going to jump into a ton of theories that we've either come up with ourselves or read about and really just put everything on the plate here and throw ourselves to the wolves and see what we like. So to start off, one of the most important facts I could find about the Unknown God is that she shares the same voice actress as Chi-Chi. Yay!
Poor baby Chi-Chi.
Our favorite zombie.
That's like the most concrete fact you can find right now. But we meet the Unknown God in the very beginning of the game. We are trying to leave Teyvat with our sibling. We're vibing. We're about to fly away when she pops out of nowhere and is like, Outlanders! No! And she basically tells us that she's the sustainer of heavenly principles and she's not going to let us go. She zaps away our powers and she zaps away our sibling into things that look very similar to hypostasises and very similar to the blocks we see in the We Will Be Reunited trailer, where we get to actually see a glimpse into the Cataclysm in Conria, and that's really it.
We know she's mad.
One of the very first things we see, and of course, like, we don't know who the fuck this is, but she says some really three important lines, Feeny, that I think we can delve into, like, an idea of what those might mean.
Of course. What are the lines?
So there's three lines that we can like dissect a bit. The first one is, your voyage has brought you through the skies. More than likely, we do know that the travelers, the twins, Lumine and Aether, are from a different realm, or quote unquote multiverse, if you will. And I can't remember where I heard it, but it was, they were trying to escape their world because it was being destroyed. Travelers, let me know if you can find where that is.
Well, it's interesting. I actually heard a little bit of a different side of that their world wasn't crumbling, that they got really mad for seeing other worlds crumble and came to kind of be like, whoa, what are you people doing?
What?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where y'all heard either of these theories.
I know. I'm like, is this the Transformers plotline?
We can go further into it, but it's really important with that line. It introduces to us that we, as the traveler, regardless of who we choose, is kind of like an extraterrestrial. We are alien to this world, which is interesting of an idea when it's supposed to be very fantasy. And then the next line she says, Outlanders, your journey ends here. Outlanders were aliens from this world, but our journey is ending. She's like, no, full mom in a way. Like, you're done playing, you're done having fun. No. But I really do think this will go into like my bigger arching theory of like the motives of why the Unknown God kept the travelers rather than just let them go to the next world. But then she says, across the celestial atlas divided by stardust. So this kind of, to me, seems, and this might be a bit off kilter, but it seems that this god knows there are multiple different realms out there and they're all connected through stardust. And why is stardust important? We smell of stardust. We're told that by a couple of people.
Right.
How do they know what stardust smells like? I guess, fluffy farts, I guess.
Right.
Just like, yes, stardust, a fart of the galaxy, I don't know. And then the last two lines are, when the rulers divine look down upon the earthly realms, whither leads your path, traveler?
Yeah, and to be ultra accurate, we don't know if she's saying this, but these are captions within the opening cutscene. We know she actually says out loud, "Outlanders, your journey ends here." The rest of them are a little
Captioned.
Yeah, it's just text upon a black screen in between, scenes in that opening montage.
Mm-hmm. Which, it's very interesting. It's intriguing to me of what is said, what is captioned, and the significance of these particular lines. It means the unknown god knows that these two twins are not of this realm, but they also know there is a larger connection between these multiple different universes, worlds, realms. It's a multiverse. So if anything, if they're from a different world, why would the unknown god, the sustainer of heavenly principles, want to keep them in Teyvat?
Right. What are they hiding?
And I think, and this is my own cracked up theory, is that I think the unknown god is also from a different world and took possession of Celestia because they were quite powerful. And Aether and Lumine, being that they're so powerful they can, cleanse abyssal corruption, thought, shit, if they get to a different world, they could bring more people, or quote unquote, other possibly powerful people that could threaten her position as top dog. And I think keeping them there, keeping them in stasis, keeping them asleep, draining them of their powers was probably her best idea. Is it gonna pull off? I don't think so, because we are badass.
Before we jump too much into theories,
damn.
Yes, I'm going to stop you here. I would like to lay down some ground information that's going to be really important to our travelers listening for better understanding not only the theory that Al has just started kind of recommending and putting out there, but also the rest of the theories that we have seen and we're going to be bringing up. So to start, I want to just say that heavenly principles is a very big concept in Chinese theology. I don't know much more about it outside of that, just because religion and everything typically really messes with my head. But there's something called like the column of the skies, which is in Tian, and Tian in China is really a big theology for them. And that's where a lot of the heavenly principles comes from. It's similar to like feng shui. I believe feng shui is a theology that comes out of Tian. I could be very wrong. Again, religion is not my thing.
I think feng shui comes from Confucianism, but you're right. It's a philosophy of life, a philosophy of living.
And, I think you're right, because the heavenly principles are actually a Confucian thought. Specifically, they say, to him, the presence of Tianli, which is a heavenly principle. So the presence of Tianli in all things, as well as in human nature, enables the human mind to purify itself in a spirit of reverence. So that's the word Tianli means heavenly principles in China. And I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, and I might not have all this right, but very base level, like just know that outside of Teyvat, heavenly principles are a real thing. So that is something that, travelers, you can really dive into if you want, especially if we have any like religious studies majors out there who would like to please explain it all to me in like a Religion for Dummies book. That'd be very much appreciated.
This is the one anthro subject I did not take because I was interested in bones.
That's okay.
But it's cool too, though, that at everything that's at the base of our story somehow goes back to real life. The heavenly principles, we'll get to her name and how that goes into Ars Goetia, and then even all of our hypostasis being names of Hebrew alphabet. The fact that they brought so much into the real world, we know that they're doing it purposefully, and there is a lot more that you can dig into and really see like where they're kind of putting these little extra fingers out to that you don't necessarily need to know to get through the story, but it's really interesting if if you really want to get that deep into it.
Right. And also, Genshin is very well known for Genshin is also very well known for using the names and concepts from famous plays, famous operas, odysseys, very important pieces of literature and art in the past. I do want to also quickly just talk a little bit about the heavenly principles. There is a lot of Reddit threads out there. But I found this one Reddit thread that really talked about what some of the heavenly principles could be. And we've heard the Ryan Shogun talk about them a little bit. We've also read a lot about them in artifact descriptions, and even certain weapon descriptions mention it. And a lot of the heavenly principles kind of come down to the idea that, like, life is a cycle of life and death, and that's it. And nothing should last forever, which is what Ryan Shogun's trying to do. Then another idea that's really popular and is theorized to be an assumed heavenly principle is that you shouldn't be trying to figure out how to enter the Garden of the Gods, which is Celestia. And lastly, that you shouldn't be seeking knowledge of Celestia and the gods. And that's something that we've seen in Enkanomiya and also supposedly in Conria as well. That goes back to the book that both Conria and Enkanomiya kind of got in trouble for having, that supposedly alludes to the fact that the gods weren't always in Teyvat.
Yes, the Book of Red Flags.
The Book of Red Flags, is that about me?
No, just your boyfriend child.
Aww. Also, a few of my other guides here were explaining to me there were some interesting things in the game files about the unknown god.
Asmodeus. I'm sorry, I had to do it. And Rulo. Yeah, so in the game files.
And what are the game files for our travelers who might not know?
So
is this like the data mining, right?
Yeah, this is basically data mining. This is like the code. This is how, like, sometimes things are labeled a specific way when you're looking through your data mines and, you know, all that good shit. I have not actually done data mining. I can do a lot of stuff with config files, but not a lot with data mining, but it has been found.
I think my favorite fact that we have found so far from data miners, and these are people like Alice who really go into the code and are able to figure out little fun facts that we don't actually get in the game, is that Suspedo's name is Dorian, and I don't know why that makes me giggle so much.
Dorian Gray!
Exactly!
Oh shit.
That's a whole theory for Albedo's episode whenever we get to that. So in the files, the unknown god / sustainer of heavenly principles is labeled as Asmodee, which is another way to say Asmodeus. And Asmodeus from the Ars Goetia is one of the kings of hell, and he is the king of demons. He's associated with lust and possession, and also commands a legion of like 70-something demons, right?
Is Paimon one of them?
Can we talk about the other names in the Ars Goetia? Because there's Paimon, there's Barbados, there's Morax.
Baal,
Beelzebub.
Yeah, Baal or Baal.
So these are all the names of the higher ranking demons or devils of hell.
And can I ask one question before you list the names out?
Mm-hmm.
What is the Ars Goetia?
Basically, the Ars Goetia has several different names, but basically it's known as the Grimoire of Lesser Key of Solomon. It's a collection of all the demons of hell when we look at the monotheistic Abrahamic religions. I want to make that very clear.
So this would be like Christianity, Judaism, and Islam?
Yes. Islam takes or leaves a couple of things out, but we see this a lot in Judeo-Christian, I don't want to say mythology, but really that is exactly what this is part of mythology. And it's basically the 72 pillars, aka the 72 demons. And it ranks basically every single one from top dog, Lucifer Morningstar, down to the lowest Dukes, Marquises.
Amanda, right? The lowest Amanda?
No, actually not.
The lowest demon, Amanda.
No, Andromelius is the last person, and he's only a count.
Is this all like a book?
It's a grimoire, so I would say it's a book. And it's
a grimoire is like a collection of notes that someone has taken, right? Like when
basically
a few of us are in a book club together and we read a witchy book where Donovan, the one character, stole the grimoire from his father. So this is the same idea. Like this was someone's like writings, basically. I don't mean to digress. I just I want to understand where they're getting this from.
Yes, it is someone's writings. It's, oh shit, who wrote it? It was written by a priest.
Sus.
Is it Johann Weyer?
Johann Weyer, yeah, Johannes Weyer is a Dutch physician, occultist, and demonologist. Right, yes, okay.
That's a lot of fun titles.
And he was born in 1515. So this is 500 years. This was
500 years old, like the Cataclysm?
Now we're getting to crack theory time. No. So to bundle that all up, the Ars Goetia is a collection of notes of a demonologist and physician, Johann Zweier, who was born in 1515. This is kind of around the time where we have European witch hunts kind of dying down at this point, but we have Puritanism, Protestantism, and Catholicism being very much in conflict at this time.
Okay.
So this comes kind of in a way of like a manual to be like, these are the demons and we can, hang people for said being associated with these things.
A how-to.
Yeah, a how-to, if you will. There's several different witchy books like that, but I mean, there's a lot more of the Ars Goetia, but what we're really interested is in the names of these kings, demons, bishops, counts, dukedoms of hell. And so, travelers, the list of the demonic names that we're more interested in that are related to Genshin is number 1, King Baal, which is Raiden Shogun. Number 8 is Duke Barbados, which is Venti, our Sumeru Archon. 9 is King Paimon, which we all know Paimon, our lucky, emergency food. 10 is President Bier, which is actually our Dendro Archon. It's the title given to Kusanali, Nahida, and Greater Lord Rugudabada. I said it. At 21 in our rankings of these 72 demons, we have Count/President Morax, which is Zhongli, our Geo Archon. 23, we have Duke Aim, or AIM, AYM or AIM, which is supposed to be our Pyro Archon's title. 29 is Duke Astaroth, which I think our travelers can put 2 and 2 together. 32 is King Asmodee, aka Asmodeus. We have 41, which is Duke Folakar or Folklar, which is our Hydro Archon's title. We have 58, which is President Amy, aka official's real name. So Parquet.
She's a god. We all knew Fischl was a goddess. So
Jolly's gonna be so happy.
She's a princess of hell. At 69, we have Decoravian, which we do know from our Lawrence clan pod was quite a dick. In 71, we have Dandelion. So we have many different names that are of great significance within the Genshin lore.
Absolutely. And I think that just goes to show you how much these demon names are going to be important too, is just how much they interwrap. I do want to jump into how much they intertangle into one another within the game before we kind of jump into all of our cray-cray theories, which I think is going to be really interesting for our listeners and honestly for us, because we've purposely not told each other all of our theories so that we could be like, all at the same time. So one last story in Genshin that's really important to understand going into all of this is the story of the Moon Princesses. If you're interested in reading the actual game description of the Moon Princesses, you need to find some of the books in Genshin. I don't know how many of you actually read the books in Genshin, how many you keep finding them and getting achievements and primos for finding some of them. Not all of us read them. So the first book series that's very important to understanding the Moon Princesses, the first book series is Moonlit Bamboo History Books. And the second series is the Heart's Desire book series. And third, there is a third series that elaborates a little more, and that is the Xinyun Forest book series as well. So there's 3 series. It's a lot of reading. If you want to go do it, please let us know.
I've collected all these books and I've had them, and it wasn't until weeks later when you said, "Oh, I read the book," where I realized you could read the book.
Exactly.
I just thought I was picking them up for somebody.
I only ever read the book that Klee gave us.
Oh yeah, with her pretty picture.
Exactly, that's all I cared about. It was just that book.
A little bit more of my speed.
So these 3 book series all together, each one of them gives like a different segment into what happened. And the third book series I mentioned, the Xinyun Forest one, really gives you some like behind the scenes knowledge. The other ones are like very fluffy at first. And the third one is like, no, this is really what happened. Don't fall for that. So the Moon Princesses lived in a place called the Lunar Palace. This is assumed to be thousands of years ago. They are assumed to be created by the Primordial One. And these 3 Moon Princesses would take turns riding a silver carriage through the sky and sitting in the sky as the moon. They would change places 3 times a month between one another. So they would take turns. And they had always been told that if they failed to do so, they failed to take these turns in the sky, that a disaster would strike the very next day. They were in love with the morning stars, and they loved the morning stars almost as much as their sisters. They loved this job like they loved each other. Then one day, a Seelie ancestor and an Outlander announced their love for each other in the lunar palace and said that they were going to get married and, they're going to do their thing. 30 days later, after they announced this in the lunar palace, the world experienced a huge calamity, and the 2 lovers were then forced into exile. They mostly forced themselves into exile, though, because they were so ashamed of what they had caused. In those 30 days, though, we're not sure what happened. There were 30 days between the announcement of their love and the calamity that happened. It is said that during those 30 days, the Moon Sisters started to fight and they started to not like each other as much. There's said that a lot went on in the Lunar Palace, possibly with the Seelie ancestor and the Outlander. Then when the Outlander and the Seelie ancestor tried to, run away and exile themselves, they actually couldn't do it. And they were unable to escape the disaster properly. They were separated for eternity and both had their memories wiped. Because of this calamity, the Seelie community was very upset and they actually withered away and lost the bodies that they had and became the little wisp-like creatures that we see today. The idea of them losing their powers and withering away is something that we've seen in a few episodes now as well.
It's just so sad. It's so sad to think this whole Romeo and Juliet kind of story, and now they're just, little balls of light just trying to find their little homes.
It's also interesting that you just said Romeo and Juliet because the 3 Moon Sisters' names are actually Aria, Sonnet, and Canon.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, like a sonnet. Oh my, okay.
So basically, during this calamity, the Moon Sisters had their carriage overturned. They went against each other. And in one of the book series, it says that they ended up killing themselves. In the more elaborated book series, it actually suggests that they also withered into smaller, finer parts of themselves and lost who they truly were, and that they could possibly still be around. We don't know. But the alleged story is that the 2 corpses disappeared and that the 3rd corpse of the Moon Sister is left in the sky and is the moon that we see today in Teyvat. The only people who survived this calamity were the stars and the wolves. And the wolves in these books are considered the children of the moons. So that's really not further explained anywhere, but it's a fun fact that you guys should know. And also just some little fun facts to know in general in Genshin before we jump into our theories, because these will be really important. Mondstadt means Moon City. When you write Liyue in Chinese, the 2nd symbol means moon. The last 4 floors of the abyss are actually called the Abyssal Moon Spire, and it shifts every 2 weeks, just like the real life lunar phases do. And lastly, there's a lot of theory and connection that the moon you see in the abyss is one of the moon princesses, and that the moon you see in the We Will Be Reunited trailer in the assumed Conria portion is another Moon Sister corpse.
When did we see a moon in the abyss?
When you fight in the spiral abyss in the later floors, there's a moon there.
Some of us don't do the spiral abyss that often and may not have noticed that.
Time to grind, Tip. Time to grind.
Last 2 tidbits, and then I want someone to talk about their theories. The crafting table actually does showcase what looks like 3 moons, which is also interesting considering the fact that Albedo's eyes kind of look like the crafting table. Yeah. And, think about too the fact that the Welkin moon blesses us every day with our 90 primos if you pay the $4.99 for it. So that's also another question of is that considered a moon princess? We don't know, but moons are a very big thought here in the game. So the moon princesses come up a lot in these theories, but that's all I have to say.
It's a lot of backstory for one theory of who the unknown god could be.
Well, who do you guys think she is? Because I know everyone probably has a different theory.
I think she is the 2nd one who came, and I have an in-depth explanation as to why.
Who is the 2nd one who came?
We don't know.
Well, I mean, what is the significance of that person?
The significance is that the primordial one, which I really do think is this Istaroth, the god of time and wind.
I'm going to disagree with that because Istaroth is said to have been one of the 4 shades of the primordial one.
But that's a theory
tomato,
too.
tomato at that point.
You're right.
It's a theory too. Like, it could be, we don't know. We don't know who the primordial one is. We don't know who Istaroth is.
Okay.
We just know Istaroth is, tied to wind and time. And the primordial one came from some other place and fought the 7 sovereigns of the light realm, which are the 7 elemental dragons, and defeated them, created the heavens and the earth and humanity. And then at some later time, there was the second who came, and we don't really know anything about them, but we know that when the second who came battled the primordial one, that the earth was ripped asunder. It caused Enkanomiya to sink into the sea, and that's really all we know about the second who came. And Al, personally love that theory. I think that makes the most sense because we know so little about the second who came. I think it really makes a lot of sense that the unknown god could be that character.
With that being said, the lore we find in Enkanomiya, we learn that the primordial one and the second who came did fight, and the primordial one won. However, Genshin is a timey-wimey fuckhole, and history tends to repeat itself, which is why I think that the unknown god is the second who came, and we as the travelers are supposed to be like, we're becoming powerful enough to help the original primordial one win again, because the earth right now is being torn asunder. Like we saw, Conneria has been fucked. The abyss is coming out the woodwork. We got so many different aspects of the world being torn asunder that I really think it's just another history has repeated itself, and the unknown god being the second who came, being that they are going to lose to the original primordial one, which possibly we could be a shade of. Who knows?
Oh, snap.
It's a whack-ass theory, and it depends on so many different things.
Well, and also, we don't actually know for sure that the primordial one was the victor of that battle with the second who came. We know that Istaroth basically went down to Enkanomiya, and I guess implied that the primordial one was victorious, but then also told them to not come back up to the surface of the sea. So why was that?
There's a bunch of liars.
Exactly. Or it's possible that what we see on like the walls of this, like the primordial one did conquer the second who came. Maybe that was just being foretold and hasn't actually happened yet.
Okay.
So can I go into why I think that the unknown god is the first one?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
And I'm going completely on the story that Venti tells us for the agnostic hymn with the battle pass, which if you have not seen that, we will have it linked up on our website. Watch it. It's a great little illustration, but it's a great little story as well. I've always believed every time I've watched it that it was talking about Lumine and Aether.
You're talking about the prologue to the battle pass, right? Like the cutscene of the battle pass?
Yeah, they call it the Gnostic hymn. It's
right.
The actual, I believe, the title of the little story.
I think you're right, yeah.
The illustration does show a woman. That it shows a male figure, which could be looked at as Lumine and Aether, although I think we've said in previous podcasts that they're very good about kind of keeping it very vague of depending on who you're playing as. So in that kind of theory, just as a little side note, it could be very specific and a little out of character for that to be the twins. But basically in this story, this one who kind of becomes like, she's the queen of darkness, I believe, and she kind of like thinks she's like the most important thing since sliced bread. That makes sense for it to be the unknown god, because the unknown god's really mad at Conria because they built a whole city without gods. And she's like, excuse me? Like, how could you do this without us? We're important. So I see this like, she's very high and mighty and kind of loses her way. And when she starts all this destruction and just, kind of goes a little crazy. But I think what stops her is the second one that shows up, who I thoroughly believe is Dainsley. I think Dainsley shows up, kind of puts a little calm, perhaps even saves the lives of the travelers and kind of gets her to like stop it. Whether or not he's like, put her in a little prison somewhere, or like maybe she's in some hypostasis for right now, but he's taking over. And I think Dainsley's gonna be the like kind of the new ruler of Celestia once he's able to figure out the mess that the unknown gods made on Teyvat.
That's interesting. Jesus.
I have a similar theory that ties into all of this, but with different characters.
Go ahead.
So I love everything that Tiff said, and I really think that there's something to that. But instead of it being, well, I guess Tiff didn't really say who the unknown god could be, but instead of Dainsleif, I have a different theory. And my theory is that the unknown god is Gold, and that Gold...
And who is Gold?
Gold is Albedo's creator / mother. She also created Durin, the poisonous evil dragon that fought Dvalin and Venti and perished atop Dragonspine. And, was the great sinner, had something to do almost assuredly with the cataclysm. And my thought is that the cutscene in front of the battle pass that talks about the heir of the celestial kingdom who was sent down to retrieve the Genesis Pearl from the kingdom of darkness, which obviously is the Abyss. So my theory is that that character is Gold. I mean, we assume when we watch that battle pass trailer that it's Lumine, because the way that it lays it out is that, this was the heir of the kingdom of the heavens, of the celestial kingdom, goes down, tries to get this Genesis Pearl, whatever the hell that is, from the kingdom of darkness, but then has her memory wiped and starts believing that she is the leader of the kingdom of darkness. And then another heir of the celestial kingdom goes down and takes her place and picks up where she left off. So obviously that sounds a lot like the twins, where maybe it was, Lumine that went down and now it's Ether that takes her place. But what if it was Gold, and Gold is somehow related to the twins, and that the second person that goes down, and this is where Tiff thinks that it's Dainsleif, but my theory is that the second heir to the celestial kingdom that goes down is actually either of the twins. It could be Ether or Lumine.
What if Gold is just Lumine grown up and time traveled?
That's another one of my theories.
Yes!
I just to make one thing, the reason I didn't name who the unknown god is because I actually believe she's their own character. I don't think she's representing somebody else. I think she's just this, she's Asmodee and that's it.
I think I would agree with
sense.
Both.
Yeah. These are crack theories. So what Tiff is saying makes way more sense.
Are they really crack theories, though?
I am only going to poke one hole into Tiff, your theory, and it's only because Venti has lied and has made up stories about many, many different things. And I don't think he's not saying all lies. He might be stretching the truth. He might be implying something different.
I can't believe you're calling our Lord Barbados a liar.
And an alcoholic. He is a liar.
I don't think he's lied to us.
I think the only reason Venti probably lies is because he's most likely involved in the same contract that we have with Zhongli. Or, I'm sorry, he's involved in the same contract with Zhongli that says that Zhongli can't talk to us about certain things.
But wait, I'm with Tiff. When did he lie to us?
Yeah.
He lied about him being Barbados. He lied about the harp to Barbara. He stole the goddamn Morak seal for slavery. He's done some shitty things.
That doesn't mean he lied.
I think he's lied more often than we realize.
I don't know. I feel like every time he tells us a story, even when we were kind of going through the Four Winds in our Vanessa episode, he is there. I mean, he's a bard. He is telling us a story, and part of a bard would be to make, flourish things a little bit, make them a little bit more beautiful and sing-songy. But I think he's always been telling us the truth. And the reason why I've always believed that cutscene with the battle pass leans more toward the twins outside of my whole theory from today is because he then does say to us, at the end of it, it's this is where your journey begins. And he's always spoken to us as the traveler. But I think he hides certain things. There's a few times he said things where Paimon's stay well, but he's you know what, we'll do that again. You just don't remember it, and he's not pointing it out. But he ain't lying.
No, he lying. He lying.
He's not fibbing.
He a dandy lying.
Liar, laugh, hands on fire. His hands are not on fire.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's hard because Barbados is also the first god that we meet, and he's not really sure probably what he can and can't tell us. By the time we get to Leeway, word has spread about us. Chances are Venti flew his ass over to Zhongli and was like, bro, you gotta be friends with this person when they come here. I sent them this way. They're on their way. Bitch is crazy. Talk to them. Tell them the truth. It's fine. So like, I don't know. Like I feel like since we start our story in Mondstadt, it's hard to tell whether or not he's like actually lying or if he's trying to protect himself and all of that.
The fact that he's a bard and the fact that he tells stories and that's kind of like part of the wind and so laissez-faire. I think he is lying for multiple reasons, but I think he's a liar, pants on fire.
All right, I can take it.
But that doesn't disprove Tiff's theory. I'm just saying he's a liar.
He's just maybe not sharing all the info.
That is a type of lying.
Yeah, I guess.
He definitely is most likely like trying to influence us in certain ways. So this way we do certain things and follow certain paths. But
I can definitely see that.
Like, we know that all the gods have not told us everything because no one has said anything about Celestia, anything really of substance about the Archon War and like the reasons behind any of it.
Or why they're giving up their gnostices.
And if they're all this wise, why don't they know where my sibling is?
Yeah.
I think they know. I think they know.
They're all hiding it.
Yeah, they're all liars. Don't trust the Archons.
I can get behind that. We're gonna say they're all liars. I can totally jump on board with that.
I don't think they know where our sibling is. I'm going to say that.
Ooh, okay. Let's jump back though. I'm gonna wrangle us in back to the unknown god for a second. There's a few other theories out there, right? And I think we should touch on some of the other big ones. One is that it's possible that the unknown god is one of the moon princesses, and that's why we got into that whole discussion on the moon princesses. What do you guys think about that, especially after hearing the lore of them?
No.
I mean, it would explain why the unknown god is so angry at Outlanders at the beginning and during the cutscene, because the Outlander was the one that, ran off with one of the moon sisters and caused the calamity.
The Outlander ran off with a Seelie that later caused the calamity. Yeah.
But wait, are the moon sisters Sealy?
Unknown. Just like everything else.
I feel like, though, yeah, they're really upset with Outlanders, but they're really angry at mortals also, which is why I'm like, I don't think they're from this world, which would throw a wrench in that theory, but I like it because it would make sense for the anger. But I also think there isn't enough info on the moon princesses in game yet that like in our face we can like look for it and find it, but like in our face and like some concrete evidence.
I will say that learning about the moon sisters really put me in that camp of Paimon theories that she is one of the, or part of one of the moon sisters.
That I can get behind.
Or a Seelie, because we know that the Seelies, like what's left of them, are all about guiding people, and Paimon is our guide.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
She is our guide and our emergency food, which, look, all theories in retrospect, travelers, all theories are valid and all theories could possibly be true. And I think all of them, every little bit of them, bits and pieces of each theory are probably true.
Yeah, you're right. We've mentioned a lot with Genshin, which is really nice, is that they're very open-ended in a lot of their lore, a lot of their relationships between characters. They really want to give you the right to make certain decisions on your own. And I think that's the fun of it too, because as you're playing the game, I've at least noticed with Sumeru, I'm like, oh my god, that was right. That's amazing. Like I get so excited, or like, shit, like I can't believe I missed that one. Crazy. Like that was me in the chasm.
Can I just read something from the records of Jueyun about Seelies?
Of course.
So this is a quote from volume 4. They had forgotten so much, lost so much, and been stripped of their voices and wisdom, yet they continued to sing the same songs of grief. Because of this, still harboring a shred of the deep love they once had for their long-lost lover, they will act as guides to travelers who stop in the mountain mist, seeking to retrace their memories of an ancient story in long-abandoned ruins, disused makeup cabinets, and now undecipherable poetry.
So specific with the makeup cabinet.
I don't know what the hell is up with the makeup cabinets.
Is it kind of like a translation error of like it's supposed to be vanity?
Maybe.
Still, why are they hiding in vanities?
But just the fact that like the Seelies sort of turned into these like guides really makes me think that Paimon could be a Seelie.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still on team Paimon Istaroth.
Maybe Paimon's just made up of all of these little different pieces, and she's just like, you know, a full-on gingerbread cookie. Like she's just got everything.
The primordial one, if you will.
I was gonna say there's a chance that, you know, Paimon could be 3 people all at once because we don't know the identities of all these people. Who's to say that the primordial one isn't the unknown god, who isn't Istaroth, who isn't Paimon, right? Like they could all be the same exact person, and that's really crazy.
I have like a ultra crack theory, which is that the player is the primordial one, and they're gonna break the fourth wall, and that's why when you pause the game, Paimon, aka Istaroth, is still moving and looking at you, as in, what are you gonna do?
Oh my god, because Paimon would be one of our 4 shades, so they would know who we were. It would be like, hi master.
Who would the other shades be?
Well, I'm one, you're one out, then Tiff, and then Brandon. We're the 4 shades.
Oh yeah!
I mean, the other shades would probably be Lunine, Ether, and Dainsleaf, or Gold. I don't know. This is the thinker.
It's without much. I mean, again, like we said in the beginning, there's nothing concrete about this bitch, this unknown god, other than their name in the game files is Asmodeus, aka Asmodee,
and that their voice actor is the same one as Chi-Chi.
Don't do my Chi-Chi like that.
Maybe that makes Chi-Chi the unknown god.
Oh wait, she was an Amber. God. She was for she like
yeah.
How long was she dead?
She does have white hair.
What? She has purple hair.
Oh.
Brandon, go see an eye doctor.
Can dye their hair. What if? Oh my god! What if Paimon, Chi-Chi, Collei, and some other tiny baby are the shades of the original primordial one, and they come together full-on Power Rangers?
No.
The world is ruled by the littles.
Oh, I hate it. No.
I love it.
There was one more theory, though, that I thought was really interesting, but I wasn't the one who came up with it when I was looking at everything you guys recommended. And it was the idea that the unknown god could be the god of the light/elemental realm. Who found that one? Because that was really interesting.
That's just a theory I made up.
Okay, well, I liked that one.
Explain, bees.
And it makes sense with the heavenly principles with humanity, right? So please.
Well, we know that the primordial one came in and defeated the 7 sovereigns, aka the 7 elemental dragons. But what if there was some, god of the light/elemental realm? And what if that was the opening cutscene is that god's trying to take back the night? And that could also be the second who came. I don't know. But someone that is like, hey, Celestia, you're stepping on my turf. Get the hell out.
Ooh, that's interesting. You just made me think of something, though, Brandon. It relates a little to the unknown god. But what if the 4 realms each have their own god, like you just said, and the unknown god is the god of the light realm, but then Gold is the god of the abyss realm, and then the human realm's god is Istaroth, and then there's one more, and I forget what realm that is. Oh,
no, there's only 3 realms.
Oh my god, there's only 3 realms, so that's it. And so, okay, so there's 3 realms, right? What if, because we know that they say Istaroth is one of the shades of the primordial one. So what if in the realm speculated, but that's, I don't know, I feel like that feels pretty canon. So what if, Istaroth is the shade for the human realm, the unknown god is the shade for the elemental realm / light realm, and then Gold is the abyss realm shade? Because we've talked a lot in past podcasts about Gold possibly being a god, possibly being involved with the abyss in some way. They all are supposed to be people who look similar too, right?
I like this theory. I like it.
And then, the primordial one was in charge of them, which apparently could be us. That would be really interesting, especially considering, we haven't met Gold. But based on, a lot of people assume that Gold looks like Albedo. I don't know why. Probably because you would assume that you make things in your liking. But she also made a dragon, so I don't know about that one. I mean, unless she's a dragon person, which is cool. We haven't seen that yet.
I mean, Wait, I took that as like she's into dragon.
Oh, I mean that too. But like, we have a big theory that Paimon could possibly be the time god, possibly be Istara. Well, Paimon looks like the unknown god, and based on a lot of speculation, Gold might look like the two of them too. So you have three goddesses possibly who all look similar. I don't know, man. This is a crack theory, and I know that, but you made me think of it, Brandon. I blame you.
I like that.
Or what if, to go to Tiff's theory, if the sustainer of heavenly principles is the original primordial one, what if Paimon is the second who came? I'm just throwing shit out there at this point.
I mean, that's possible though, because we've learned through the Aranara and through Guba that, you could be a greater being that becomes much smaller if you use your powers. What if Paimon used their powers to protect their world and lost?
Yeah, we've kind of danced around it, but I mean, the most popular theory out there right now of the unknown god's identity is that it's Paimon.
I hate that theory.
I do too, but it makes sense. I mean, they have white hair, and we've seen in the game instances of very powerful beings exerting a whole lot of power and shrinking and losing a lot of their cognitive abilities and memories. So it makes sense, but I will say that the eyes don't match.
Yes, you're right. The idea would be right that the unknown god lost their memories and is now Paimon. I feel like at their heart, they would be the same person. And why would the unknown god hate us so hardcore to now be quote unquote helping us? I mean, of course, there is the chance that she's misleading us as well. We have no idea. We fished her out of the water and now we're blindly following her. So it's definitely possible, but it just doesn't click as much as like 9 other theories do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what if we're the bad ones?
Oh, I know. I hate that that's a possibility. I hate not knowing if we're good or bad.
That would make Tiff's theory completely accurate. Oh my god, Tiff! Wait, Tiff knew. Tiff knows. We are the bad guys.
I am the unknown god.
Oh no. It's Tiff, confirmed.
Sorry. Hate to tell you. It was me all along.
Look no further. So one last crack theory is that the unknown god is a time-looped Lumine, either from the future or the past or both, if we're in a time loop. I really love this idea because also, first of all, if you look at the unknown god's eyes, they look a lot like Lumine's. And Lumine's eyes are actually different from Aether's. We'll put some pictures of that on the website. But I love this idea, and I love that they could potentially have a different reason for Lumine being the unknown god based on which character you chose. So if you're playing as Lumine, maybe, you go down that path to save Aether. Whereas if you're playing as Aether, maybe Lumine as the Abyss Queen goes down that path.
See, but the only thing with the eyes, though, is that if you look into the unknown god, she has those almost like the Primogen kind of cross look eyes that Dainsleif has, that Kaya has, and that Paimon actually wears as a hairpin on her head too.
Yeah.
It's the same, but Lumine doesn't have that in there.
Right. I just mean, and compared to Aether, Lumine has this little line under her pupil that goes around in a circle, which you also see in the Unknown Gods. But yeah, the Unknown Gods iris, or no, not iris, but pupil has these little things coming out the side. So it's definitely different, but to me, it's like her eyes could become that if she gained some kind of crazy power, let's say the Genesis Pearl.
Do you like how I tried to bring it all back to my theory that the Unknown God has the same eyes as Dainsleif, and somehow Kaya's related in there too?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just bring it all back around.
Mm-hmm.
Although I did find the hairpin thing for Paimon, I just thought was very interesting because Paimon's eyes are the galaxy, which I just think is awesome. And I think kind of brings to a side of mystery for her, and why she can fit into so many different theories is because she's just looking at the entire Genshin universe.
So deep.
I do have one other question too that I'm hoping that you might be able to answer for me.
The pressure is on, Brandon.
Yes. I found a lot in my reading, people talking talking a lot about a connection to, and I apologize if I'm saying it wrong, Kiana from Honkai Impact. The Hersher of the Void. And not only by look, but by, I guess, the character itself, since you're the only one I know who's played Honkai Impact. Because I don't believe, Al, you haven't, right?
No, I've not. No.
So I've only played Honkai for like a week.
Okay. Long enough to show me official? Or
yeah, when there was a crossover, official was in Honkai for a hot minute.
Okay.
Which is when I played. So yeah, I don't know that, but I do know there's a lot of crossover theories, including the Travelers. I think I've heard of some theory where in Honkai there are these paintings or something, and like people travel to different worlds through these paintings, and that the whole entirety of the Genshin universe could be a painting within Honkai. But that's the only one I'm actually aware of.
Did Albedo paint them? Because in the last Mondstadt event, they freaking Albedo's like, yeah, I paint things and I sell them, and apparently they're really expensive, and Alice made me copyright them, and now I just let the Knights of Favonius manage all of my money. And I'm like, bro, you have all this money and you live in a cave on Dragonspine? Like, what is
Alice
happening?
Sending these to different realms through the abyss?
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. She's like threatening to blow them up otherwise.
That one side though with Honkai Impact, it is that a lot of the things I did read were just kind of like setting up to the side that if the two were to have a bigger crossover, would that actually be the same character? So there wasn't much more into it other than that, but there are a lot of similarities. If anybody out there plays Honkai Impact and has any thoughts to that, we would love to hear it.
And they did change their name to Hoyoverse.
Because they're a universe.
Right.
They're a multiverse.
Right, a multiverse.
We're going full Marvel at this point.
Yeah, they specifically called it something with the metaverse too when they changed names. Because I remember being like, metaverse, like Persona 5, and then someone was like, now Amanda. I was like, oh, okay. But I do think that's all the time we have for today. And honestly, my head is like spinning right now. I think I need to go like do my dailies and try to like calm my brain. Although depending on the dailies we get, who knows if our brains will actually calm down. I think we have a lot of theories going on. We would love to know what everyone's thoughts and opinions are on some of the things that we said today. So please, if you don't already, give us a follow on Instagram, Tales of Teyvat Pod, or on Twitter, Tales of Teyvat, to let us know what you thought today about all of these thoughts and theories, what you agree with, if you hate us for listing all these, if you've never thought about them before. And next week, we're going to be jumping into the girl with the boots with the fur, our favorite lawyer, Yanfei. Otherwise, safe journeys, travelers. We'll see you next week.
Bye, nerds. P.S. The unknown god is Ether and Lumine's mom. Bye.